Hello there, Aquarius. Welcome to your mid-August 2017 tarot reading. So I am recording this on, today is Monday, so August 7th, and I'm going to get it published in about 10 minutes after I finish the recording. And it's really interesting because today is also the full moon in Aquarius, and it's actually happening right now on in Central Time. In the US. So I'm in the southern part of the United States right now, and as I'm recording this, it's really, really stormy and raining outside. And there's so much lightning, and there's a lot of thunder, and it's really loud. And I want to bring up this concept here. Your ruling planet, the planet of Uranus, it's in retrograde right now. It went into retrograde on August 3rd this month, and it's going to continue to be in retrograde period until January 2nd of 2018. So if we think about our ruler is the person or the entity or the energy or the embodiment of the energy that helps us to move things forward, to help us induce change in our lives and to bring opportunities for change, opportunities for excitement. When the planet goes into retrograde, it lays very, very dormant. So then you have to be your own catalyst of change. And I feel like that's what's happening right now. And I feel like, getting this out, I feel like there might be some synchronicities in terms of recording this and getting this out today. But I do feel that some of you, hopefully this might be helpful if you're watching this early. Some of you need to really make a move here when it comes to getting yourself out of stagnant situations. For some of you, it is a major relationship that is really holding you back and that is really dampening your potential. You have the potential for greatness. You have the potential to be in a position where you help humanity as a whole. And so your energy needs to be scattered and it needs to be, kind of like brought into the public. It needs to make a lot of connections with many, many organizations, with many, many social circles, with many, many people. And unfortunately, as a humanitarian sign, it's very difficult for it to be contained within just one person, like a relationship partner. It doesn't mean that it can't work, but if you're finding a relationship partner that is not in alignment with your own life path, it's going to be very challenging for you to work within that confines of that relationship. So I do feel for some of you, there is a relationship that is really holding you back, where you and the other person, for whatever reason, there's a lot of opposition. I feel like creative differences. I feel communication barriers. And I do feel communication breakdowns as well with you and a significant love relationship partner. And so this might have already happened for some of you, and then others of you are experiencing this right now. And then for others as well, you're navigating and managing the disparate energy really well, so things don't escalate and things don't, blow out of proportion or get out of control within that relationship sector. But I still feel that a lot of you are longing for more. And yes, you might be with a really good person, but is that the relationship that you find yourself, 20, 40 years down the line? Is that still viable for you? Is that still really helping you grow? And so we're really forced to think about, how can we be the catalyst of change in our own lives? What areas of our lives are stagnant and what can we do to fix it? To either leave it behind, to get out of it, or to fix it so that it can be the way that we want. And I do feel for many of you, this is a relationship sector. This is also playing out in your work and your career. And I feel like you have been dealing with a lot of frustration when it comes to work and career. Where's my work headed? Where's my career headed? Feeling a little bit stuck and, being bound to something because of financial security, but not feeling as if that is everything that you're meant to do, wanting more out of your professional life, wanting more out of career development, wanting to branch out, wanting to take opportunities, possibly even branching off into self-employment where you don't have to work under the mandates of other people, where you can have total control over the work that you're doing and you're accumulating, building wealth for yourself. And so if those ideas are kind of floating around out there in your head, or, these are ideas that you always revert back to and you always have always kept on the back burner, it's really important to revisit these ideas and to really find a way to make them happen for you. Okay? And so I do sense for I would say like half of you guys, especially if you're born like before this Piscean cusp, like from, I would say like from the early degrees of Aquarius, like late January, moving into like the very beginning of February. So like February 5th, February 10th or so. I feel like you have already sorted out a lot of things in your life. You've already sorted out, where you need to be and what you need to do. And you're waiting on decisions from other sources, other people. And once those decisions come through, you're going to bust yourself out of this place where you feel a little bit stagnant and a little bit stuck. And you're going to move on to this next elevation. And I feel like it's the next step into more independence, into more fun, more excitement, and less stagnation. And then for others of you born towards like the tail end of the Aquarian cycle, especially, on the nearing the cusp of Pisces, I feel like you're still lacking that sense of direction. You're still lacking that motivation, that internal motivation for you to make some changes in your own life to steer yourself in the direction where you want to be, okay? And so moving forward with this reading, the first thing that I do feel here is I want you to really think about, the family unit. This is your mother and your father, okay? And for some of you, you might have like a non-traditional home where there are blended families, but I do want you to think about the authority figure in your life when you were grown up. I feel like there was a lot of, there was a very strict person. And I'm feeling a very masculine quality. It could be a father. It could be whoever that raised you. Or it could be, a mother figure that has to take on the role of the father too. So I feel like there was an authority figure. This was the person that you fear because they forced you to work within a very definite confines. They forced you to do things a specific way. And a lot of you might have rebelled against that, right? Because no one likes to be told what to do. And especially for you guys, you're so fiercely independent that you guard your independence. You see that as a major threat to your whole being. So when somebody places restrictions upon you, you do take that very, very personally. And just out of spite, you might rebel. And I feel like that's what happened. And so if you have had very, very tenuous relationship with parents, I feel that in your, early stages of development, in your 20s and 30s, you rebelled and you try to do things a little bit differently. But as you get a little bit older and as you go through, your Saturn transit, if you're past that 31-year-old time frame, you're going to look back and you're just going to be like, wow, that, mom or dad was right. Whatever they told me to do, there was a reason for it. They weren't being spiteful. They weren't being mean. They weren't being controlling. They wanted to protect me. They wanted to teach me a lot about discipline, a lot about structure, a lot about, actions and consequences. If we disrupt a specific structure, we're going to pay dearly with, dire consequences. And so I feel like you have come into the realization that these rules, these regulations are put there for a reason. It allows society to function. It allows things to work in a very predetermined, in a very predictable manner. It allows things to flow smoothly without, a lot of conflict and without a lot of friction. So I feel like you are coming into the point where you are appreciating these confines and these restrictions. And I do feel that you're appreciative of the fact that rules are put into place because they are meant to be there to facilitate interactions, how we're supposed to, treat other people, how we're supposed to behave in relationships, and how we're supposed to get what we want through compromise rather than just pushing ahead with our dogmatic view of our own sense of independence, our own sense of, showing everybody what we're made of, how independent we are, how forward-thinking we are, how eccentric we are. So bringing back to, the idea here of this thunderstorm that I'm experiencing, it is frustrating being an Aquarius and having to be under the mandates of other people or work within an existing institution or existing rules, because it can really slow down your energy. It forces you to slow down, right? You can't do everything that you want. And so when you're faced with those restrictions, a lot of you lashed out. And I feel for some of you, you were in relationships and it felt like too claustrophobic. The walls were closing in. The demands of the relationship itself, while it's normal for another sign to deal with and think of it as, oh, it's just a normal progression of a relationship. You know, we give and take. We can't do everything like we want. We also have to take into account our partner. But I feel like for you, some of you Aquarius, the demands of the relationship became too restrictive, too claustrophobic. And so you lashed out. You wanted to prove to the other person, oh, I don't need you. And you might have done something you regretted. And I feel like now you're dealing with the ramifications of that. And then for others as well, I feel like there was a relationship. There is a relationship right now. It's long-standing. It's very restrictive. It's really blocking your progress, blocking your prosperity, but you're still staying in it because I feel that you want the security and you don't know what else to do. And so I feel like you're really working at cross purposes with yourself within relationships, wanting the excitement and the stability of the relationship, but not willing to put in the compromise and the work necessary to nurture and foster and cherish the relationship. So it's both sides of the coins. I feel like the same issue applies. And so figuring out, you know, what you need to do in relationships so that you can harmonize it, figuring out if this is truly something that you want, not just for now, but 5-10 years down the line. Can you see yourself with that relationship partner? If you can, envision what that life looks like, and is that something that you want? Because I feel like some of you are, you're idealizing a situation, and it might not be the best thing for you. It could be good for now, but further into the future, is it the best possible outcome that you can envision yourself in terms of relationship? It's probably not. So really think about that and be honest with yourself. There's a difference between liking somebody, caring about somebody, and really loving somebody. And as a very individualistic sign, you can lie to yourself about anything, but you can't lie to yourself about whether or not you truly love somebody. Okay, so that's just something I want you to be very careful about. Going back to this family situation, I feel like there is a lot of understanding. Why did mom behave like this? Why did dad behave like this? Why did my old boss behave this way? I feel like you are coming into, you know, very, very strong snippets of wisdom and insights into somebody's psyche, somebody that you did not get along with. You did not agree why they behaved the way they did. And now you're just like, everything makes sense. There's that sense of clarity coming through. And you're just like, now I understand why they're like this. So the wisdom and the insights, I feel as if the full moon needed to happen to shine light on these areas and for you to figure out, you know, how to put yourself in another person's shoes, to really understand their struggles and to understand where they came from and how that shaped them to make the choices that they're making right now or in the past when you dealt with them. And so clarity is always good. Wisdom and insights are always good. And this process allows you to, you know, repair relationships. It also allows you to mend bridges with, you know, relationship partners that have broken down, with friends, with parents especially. Coming to terms with the fact that we are not walking in our parents' footsteps. We have our own lives that we need to lead. And so whatever restrictions they place upon you, you also, you know, now you understand where they're coming from, but you also have to understand, is it appropriate for me? Because I'm not like them. I don't need to be told what to do. I know innately what's the best thing for me to do. Because as an Aquarian, you always know what's best for you, right? And so it's when you kind of like deviate away from your higher self, those spiritual messages, that's when you can lead yourself astray. That's when things get bunched up and waterlogged and just, you know, like this complicated, tangled ball of yarn. And that's when things get really, really complicated. It's when you're not really working and fulfilling, promises to your higher selves, okay? The last thing that I want to end this with here is I know things are really frustrating right now for many of you. You feel like you can't really affect outcome in your life. You feel almost as if, first of all, I feel like for some, money is tied up. There are a lot of contracts that you're waiting on. There are a lot of decisions from other people that you're waiting on. So it's like things are not streamlined, efficient, done and over with the way that you'd hope. There are a lot of red tapes. There are a lot of bureaucratic, red tapes. There are a lot of people that you need to review things with before they finally all sign off on that dotted line. And you can push things along as fast as you want or the way that you want. So in the income sector, and especially in the work sector, it feels like there are a lot of roadblocks. And then for others of you as well, you need to make a change, but you are definitely resisting. And a lot of it is, operating from a place of fear, a place of, I need to know what the outcome is going to be. If I don't know, I can't really do anything. And the point is, in life, we're not supposed to know. We're supposed to trust that the best thing, the best optimal outcome comes from planning, right? And we also need to trust that if something really appeals to us on an emotional level, that is probably the right decision for us to make. And so you want to really think about, rather than, wanting to figure out how everything is going to pan out in the future, rather than wanting to get this, panoramic view. If I take option A, here's all the possibilities laid out for me. And you want to see this panoramic view of what everything is going to be, how all the pieces of the puzzle will fall into place. But there is a greater design for you. And a lot of it is teaching the Aquarian people a sense of humility, that despite your eccentricities, despite your forward-leaning vision, despite your humanitarian approach, despite all these great things that you know about yourself, you're incredibly intelligent. There is this humbling process that's coming into the picture and is really forcing you to really think about this concept. This concept that you are also just a person, just like a human being. And it is not your place to know everything. It's not your place to know about the grand design. And so some things, you are going to have to let them play out, and you're going to have to let them be. And the experience of making decisions when we don't know all the possible outcomes, the experience of walking yourself through it, the experience of leading yourself and making these concrete decisions and acting on it, that is a human experience. If you deny yourself of that, you are denying, what it means to really be human, to really experience things, and to really experience the unknown. And so I feel like this is a major eye-opening moment for you guys, where you are realizing, your mortality. You are realizing that as great as I think I am, I'm still human, flesh and blood, and I have to operate under the physical mandates of what it means to be human. And that means making these decisions, planning to the best of your capabilities, but still allowing room for uncertainties, allowing room for the unknown, and not assuming we know everything, okay? So I'm going to leave you guys with that, and I don't know if that is helpful, because it is a lot more philosophical than I'd like to get into, but I feel like this is all culminating this day that I'm doing this video with this, lightning storm outside. I feel like for a lot of you, the more you push, the more the universe will push back. And so I guess letting things be, a lot of the times accepting things is very difficult, right? But accepting our limitation, accepting that, we're meant to be here right now. It's not what we want to do. It's not where we want to be. But we need to be here right now because there's something that we need to learn. And I feel like for many of you, maybe learning that lesson about humility, about humanity, that is something that you need right now. And until you learn that lesson, you can't really progress to the next level. It's like a video game. You need to beat this boss. You need to live in this moment. You need to deal with that fear, that uncertainty, that sense of triumph about, overcoming that boss battle. before you can progress to the next stage. So where you are right now is exactly where you need to be, because there is a very important lesson here, and a lot of it is about humility, okay? So I hope this reading is helpful for you guys. And I'm going to be back early for the reading for September, and hopefully we can flush some things out. Hopefully this energy will dissipate and it won't feel so convoluted and overwhelming, okay? So I wish you the best, Aquarius, and take care of yourself, okay? Bye-bye.